Lesson 12, area. So we're going to work through today on this one is a bunch of different formulas for the area of something. So this would be like if you're replacing carpet in the home or you wanted to paint the wall, you would look at area. So let's start with a triangle. So the formula for the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, right? Or if you don't like the way that's written, you could do 1/2 base times height. They're exact same formula, just different interpretations of it. Okay, so here's our triangle. We got the height and we got the base. So let's look at an example. So we have a triangle here. So the first thing you should do is always write down, hey, what all the things are. So base in this case, the base in this case is 8. So b equals 8. Height is 5. So there it is. And then we just write the formula down. I'm using the b times h over 2 formula. So 8 times 5 over 2, 40 over 2, 20. Right? 40 divided by 2 is 20. Now, don't forget your units. Units are very important on area. And we're talking here, area is squared. So this is centimeters squared. Okay. Triangle, look at this one here. So here's our main triangle here. And what we did is the dotted lines just show the extension of this. So the base in this case is 20, right? B equals 20. And the height overall is 6. So the h is 6. So again, plug it into the formula. 20 times 6 divided by 2. So 120 divided by 2 is 60 inches squared, right? Don't forget your units. Okay, second page, let's talk about the area of a rectangle. The area of a rectangle is one that everybody knows. It's length times width. And it really doesn't matter because you're multiplying. It doesn't matter what you label as length or width. You'll still multiply them together, you'll get the right answer. Okay, so this one we label the length as 20, the width as 15, and you could do it backwards and it would still work. Formula written down, 20 times 15, area equals 300 centimeters squared. Really, really quite simple. This one here, 8 inches and 12 inches. Length in this case, we did as 12, width as 8. You could do it backwards, it wouldn't make any difference. Write the formula down, area equals 12 times 8, area equals 96 inches squared. Don't forget your units. Okay, that's a rectangle. So the page, let's talk about a square. A square, you can use the same formula if you want as rectangle, or some people will use a equals s squared, where s equals the side, because they know that since the sides are the same, they can just take them and square them. So if you look at this one, 3 meters and 3 meters. So you can either identify as length and width, multiply them together, or if you wanted to, you could do 3 squared or s squared, right? It works the same. So 3 times 3, 9 meters squared. Again, the units is still the same as squared. Okay, what about a question like this? Oh, I can't do this. They only give you one side. But you see these little marks here? These little marks represent that, the little hash marks. And what they are is the sides are the same. So if we know that this is 12, then one of the other lengths has to be 12. All of the lengths have to be 12. So you can do that then to figure out the area. So you could either do s squared if you want to do, or length times width. 12 times 12, 144 inches squared. So sometimes you have to look at the picture to get all the measurements. Okay, let's go to 4th page now. Let's talk about a parallelogram. Parallelogram is really, it's kind of like a rectangle that's been tipped over a bit. So the formula is really length times width in this case, but what we have is we have the base, the bottom part here, and then we have the overall height, kind of like a triangle, and we're looking at that. So if you look at this one, the base in this case is 10, the height in this case is the height in this case is 8, sorry. And then we take the formula, area equals base times height, and you just take 10 times 8, or 80 inches squared. Really quite simple. Don't forget your units. All right. Oh, it's on its side. Well, big deal. We still have here, we talk about the height being 6 in this case, and the base being 5. You could do it backwards if you want to. You could flip those around, and it will still work. So base times height, 5 times 6, or 30 centimeters squared. So the area of that, don't forget, is squared. Okay, page 5, let's talk about a trapezoid. And there's 2 different types of trapezoids here. Trapezoid formula is a little bit different. It's not that much more difficult. We have A and we have B. So we have the overall length of A and the overall length of B. Same with this one, A and B. And we have the height inside here. So there's 2 ways of the formula. It's kind of like the triangle formula. You can do 1/2 times A plus B times H, or you could do A plus B times H divided by 2. You will get the same result either way. So I think I used the second formula down here. Yeah, I did. Okay, so A in this case is 6, right? B in this case is 10. The overall height is 5. Plug it into the formula. 6 plus 10, right, times 5, all divided by 2. So 6 plus 10 is 16 times 5. That's going to give us our 80 divided by 2, or 40 centimeters squared. All right, let's try this trapezoid down here. So we have A is 3, B is 10, and the height is 7. Plug it into the formula, A plus B, so 3 plus 10 times 7. So 3 plus 10, 13 times 7, that's going to give us 91 divided by 2, we end up with 45.5 square feet, right? Feet squared or square feet, however you want to say it. Okay, so that is for a trapezoid. Let's talk about circles on page 6 here. Now, with circle, all you got to know is area equals pi r squared. And pi is, you can either use it as 3.14, or a lot of people when they're doing this will just use the pi button on their calculator. Most calculators have it. Now, the key thing here is you have to have the radius. So the radius is from the center anywhere out to the outside of the circle. Now, sometimes you're going to get a question where you get diameter, and diameter is the distance across the circle as long as it goes through the center. Well, if you knew the diameter was 10 and you wanted to find the radius, that's easy, just divide it by 2. Okay, so let's look at this first example here. So we have a circle. This case, that goes from the center to the outside, so it's the radius. So the radius in this case is 6. Write down the formula. Area equals pi r squared. Plug in the 6, so 6 squared. Now, you got to remember, bed math is always in play. What do you do first? Do you multiply or do you do the exponent? Well, of course, you square it. So 6 squared is 36, and we go pi times 36. We end up with 113.0973. Now, we want to round to 1 decimal place. So we run around to the 0. So we look at the 9. That 9 is going to take that 0 and round it up to a 1. So we end up with 113.1 centimeters square or square centimeters. Okay, let's look at this example here. Now this, 10 feet is a big circle, but 10 is not the radius. 10 is the diameter. So you have to recognize that. So diameter is 10. Well, how do we find the radius? You take it and divide it by 2. You end up with 5. Then you go through the same procedure again. Write down the formula. A equals pi r squared. Plug in r as 5. Remember, you got to do that first. So 5 times 5 is 25. Times pi. You end up with 78.5398. Yeah. Let's round to 1 decimal place. So we're going to round to the 5. So we look at the 3, and since that is less than 5, that 5 stays the same. So 78.5 square feet. Okay, so now you can work on practice number 12 on area.